Your hands used to be steady. You know they did. And if they're trembling right now, even just a little, that is not aging. That is a nerve starving to death. You're lying in bed and it starts again. That tingling in your feet, that crawling, burning sensation that turns the sheets into sandpaper against your skin. You shift your legs, you flip the pillow, you press your feet against the cold wall, hoping for just 3 seconds of relief. And when morning comes, you swing your legs over the side of the bed, and for a moment, just a moment, you're not sure they'll hold you. Your toes feel thick, numb, like they belong to someone else. You mentioned it to your doctor. Of course you did. And they looked at you over their glasses, typed something into their computer, and said the 6 words that should make every person over 60 furious. That's just part of getting older. They told you it was normal. They told you it was circulation. They might have even told you to wear thicker socks. But what if I told you they were dead wrong? What if the real reason your nerves are misfiring, your balance is failing, and your hands won't cooperate has nothing to do with aging, and everything to do with a single vitamin deficiency that is so wildly common after 60 that nearly half of you watching this right now already have it? And what if the very medications sitting in your cabinet right now, the ones prescribed to protect you, are the exact things draining that vitamin from your body? By the end of this video, you will know exactly which vitamin reverses nerve damage, which medications steal it, which foods restore it fastest, and the precise protocol that helped my patients feel sensation return to their feet in as little as 14 days. I am Dr. Catherine, and after 23 years in clinical practice, I refuse to stay quiet about this any longer. Drop your age in the comments right now. Just the number. I want to see who's here, because what I'm about to share could change how you feel every single morning for the rest of your life. Let me tell you what is actually happening inside your body. Your nervous system runs on a network of roughly 45 miles of nerve fibers. 45 miles. That is enough wiring to stretch from downtown Chicago to the Wisconsin border. Every single one of those nerve fibers is wrapped in a protective coating called myelin. Think of it like the rubber insulation around the electrical wires in your house. When that insulation is thick and healthy, signals travel fast. Your feet feel the floor. Your fingers feel the fabric. Your brain gets clean, clear information from every part of your body. But when that insulation starts to crack and peel away, a process called demyelination, those signals start misfiring. They spark. They buzz. They send pain where there should be none, and silence where there should be sensation. That is not aging. That is a nutritional emergency, and the vitamin responsible for building and maintaining every millimeter of that myelin coating is vitamin B12. Now, this next one surprises almost everyone. B12 does not just support your nerves. It is the raw material your body uses to manufacture myelin itself. Without adequate B12, your body literally cannot repair the insulation on its own wiring. A study published in the Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry in 2019 found that patients over 60 with B12 levels below 300 picograms per milliliter had a 41% higher rate of peripheral neuropathy than those with levels above 500. 41%. And here is the part that should make you angry. The standard lab range your doctor uses, the one that says anything above 200 is normal, was set decades ago based on preventing a blood disease called pernicious anemia. It was never designed to protect your nerves. Your blood can look perfectly fine while your nerves are disintegrating. I had a patient named James. James was 71, a retired electrician who spent 40 years working with his hands. Wiring, soldering, precision work that demanded perfect finger control. He came into my office and he could barely sign his own name. His hands shook so badly he had stopped eating soup in public because he couldn't get the spoon to his mouth without spilling. He was a ghost of himself. His B12 level came back at 280, technically normal according to the standard range. His previous doctor had looked at that number and told him everything was fine. James, I said, your nerves are starving. The lab says you're fine, but your body is telling a completely different story. He looked at me and said, Dr. Catherine, I rewired houses for 40 years. I know what a bad connection looks like. My hands feel like a bad connection. That sentence has stayed with me ever since. But wait, it gets darker. Because the B12 crisis in people over 60 is not just about diet. Your body absorbs B12 through a complex process in the stomach that requires something called intrinsic factor, a protein your stomach produces specifically to grab B12 from food and carry it into your bloodstream. Think of intrinsic factor like a shuttle bus at an airport. The vitamin lands in your stomach, and the shuttle picks it up and drives it to where it needs to go. But after 60, your stomach produces dramatically less of this shuttle. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2020 found that 43% of adults over 60 have significantly reduced intrinsic factor production. 43%. That means nearly half of you watching this right now could be eating plenty of B12-rich foods and absorbing almost none of it. Here's where the science gets genuinely interesting. There is a second pathway your body uses to absorb B12: passive diffusion. This pathway bypasses intrinsic factor entirely and absorbs B12 directly through the intestinal wall. But it only works when B12 levels in the gut are extremely high. This is why the form and the dose of your B12 supplementation matter more than most doctors realize. And this is where the protocol I give my patients begins. Be completely honest right now. When you walk across a dark room at night, do your feet feel like they're wrapped in cotton? Do you stumble more than you used to? Write yes or no in the comments. Because if you answered yes, what I'm about to share is especially critical for you. Pay very close attention here. This is where most people go wrong. Not all B12 is the same. The cheap B12 you find in most drugstore multivitamins is called cyanocobalamin. Your body has to convert it into its active forms before it can use it. That conversion requires healthy liver function and adequate levels of other B vitamins. For most people over 60, that conversion is sluggish at best. The two active forms your nerves actually use are methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin works primarily in your brain and peripheral nerves. Adenosylcobalamin works inside your mitochondria, the energy factories in every cell. Think of it this way. Cyanocobalamin is like buying flat-pack furniture that you have to assemble yourself with missing instructions. Methylcobalamin is the same furniture, fully built, delivered to your door, placed in the exact room where you need it. Your nerves do not have time for assembly. They need the finished product. Now, this is the most common mistake I see in practice. Metformin, the most widely prescribed diabetes medication in the world, has been shown to reduce B12 absorption by up to 30%. A landmark study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism in 2018 followed over 1,200 patients on long-term metformin therapy and found that 31% developed clinically significant B12 deficiency within 4 years. 31%, and proton pump inhibitors, the acid reflux medications millions of seniors take daily, suppress stomach acid production, which is essential for releasing B12 from food. A study in the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2017 found that patients taking PPIs for more than 2 years had a 65% higher risk of B12 deficiency. If you are taking either of these medications, nobody warned you about this, and that is not your fault. That is a system failure. But here's where hope enters this story, because the damage is not permanent, not if you act now. Your nerves have a remarkable capacity to regenerate their myelin coating when given the right building blocks in the right amounts. A clinical trial published in the Journal of Neurological Sciences in 2021 studied patients with confirmed peripheral neuropathy and B12 levels below 400. They administered 1,000 micrograms of sublingual methylcobalamin daily. Within 14 days, 67% of patients reported measurable improvement in sensation. 67%. Within 60 days, nerve conduction velocity, the actual speed at which electrical signals travel through the nerves, improved by an average of 38%. Your nerves want to heal. They are designed to heal. They just need the raw material. If you've made it this far, type "I finished" in the comments below. It tells me this information is reaching people who actually need it, and it helps YouTube share this with more people going through the same thing. Let me give you the exact protocol I use with my patients. This is what I walked James through, and this is what I am giving you today. First, sublingual methylcobalamin, not a pill you swallow. A sublingual tablet that dissolves under your tongue. 1,000 micrograms daily, taken first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. The sublingual route bypasses your stomach entirely and delivers B12 directly into your bloodstream through the capillaries under your tongue. This is how we defeat the intrinsic factor problem. Second, adenosylcobalamin. This is harder to find but critical. 500 micrograms daily, taken with your largest meal. This form fuels the mitochondria in your nerve cells and supports the energy production that myelin regeneration demands. Third, a B-complex cofactor. B12 does not work alone. It requires folate, B6, and riboflavin as cofactors. Take a quality B complex that contains methylfolate, not folic acid, 400 micrograms, along with 50 milligrams of B6 and 25 milligrams of riboflavin. Take this with breakfast. Fourth, dietary loading. 3 times per week, eat 4 ounces of beef liver, or if liver is not your preference, 6 ounces of wild-caught salmon or sardines. These foods contain B12 in its most bioavailable forms, already bound to proteins your body recognizes. Eggs, specifically the yolks, provide smaller but consistent amounts. 2 eggs daily, soft-cooked to preserve the B12 content. Hard boiling degrades it by up to 20%. Fifth, eliminate the drain. If you are on metformin, talk to your prescribing physician about monitoring your B12 every 6 months. Do not stop your medication, but demand the blood test. If you are on a proton pump inhibitor, ask whether you can step down to an H2 blocker, which suppresses less acid and preserves more B12 absorption. This is a conversation, not a confrontation. Bring this information with you. This one is different from everything else on this list. Walking. 30 minutes of walking daily increases blood flow to peripheral nerves by up to 25%, according to a 2022 study in the journal Circulation Research. Increased blood flow delivers more B12 and oxygen directly to the nerve fibers that need repair. Walk on uneven terrain when possible. Grass, gravel, gentle trails. This forces your feet to send complex signals back to your brain and reactivates nerve pathways that have gone quiet. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret was 68, a retired school teacher who loved watercolor painting. She came to me because her fingers had gone so numb she couldn't feel the brush anymore. She described it as painting with gloves on. Her B12 was 310, normal by the old standard. She had been on omeprazole for acid reflux for 6 years. Nobody had ever checked her B12, not once. She was visibly defeated. She told me, "Dr. Catherine, I can't even feel the paper under the brush." Painting was the one thing that was still mine. We started the protocol: sublingual methylcobalamin, adenosylcobalamin, the cofactor complex, dietary changes. We worked with her gastroenterologist to transition her off the PPI over 8 weeks. At her 4-week follow-up, she held up her hand and wiggled her fingers. "I can feel the texture of the canvas again," she said. "It sounds small, but for me, it's everything." Her nerve conduction test at 60 days showed a 42% improvement in signal velocity in her hands. At 90 days, she brought me a painting, a watercolor of a garden. She had written on the back, "Painted with feeling, finally." That is what B12 restoration looks like. Not a miracle, not magic, science, nutrition. A body that was given what it needed and responded exactly the way it was designed to. Drop the word feeling in the comments if this changed how you think about your nerve symptoms. One word. That is all I need. Now listen to me. Think of one person right now. Your spouse, your neighbor, your closest friend. Someone who has mentioned tingling in their feet or numbness in their hands. Someone who was told it was just aging. Send them this video right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now. That single action could change the trajectory of their nerve health before the damage becomes permanent. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button now. My mission is bringing you research-backed health information that is accessible, practical, and genuinely life-changing. That is what every video on this channel is designed to do. In my next video, I am covering the 3 common kitchen spices that directly reduce nerve inflammation. And I guarantee at least one of them is sitting in your spice rack right now. You are going to want to see that. I am Dr. Catherine, and your health is the only metric that matters. I'll see you in the next consultation. Remove these words.